Okay, now chlorophyceae is over. Now we can learn the next class of algae, that is Phaeophyceae. The members of Phaeophyceae or brown algae are found primarily in marine habitats. The members of Phaeophyceae, they are commonly known as brown algae. As we discussed in the case of chlorophyceae, they are commonly known as green algae. So here Phaeophyceae, they are commonly known as what? Brown algae. And they are found primarily, mainly where? In marine habitats. They show great variation in size and form. In their size, in their form or structure, they are varying. They range from simple branched filamentous forms, as in the case of ectocarpus, to profusely branched, profusely means very greatly branched forms as represented by kelps, which may reach a height of 100 meters. So here that point is discussing regarding the variation in size and form. So they range from simple branched filamentous forms, that is ectocarpus, to profusely branched form as represented by kelps, which may reach a height of how much? 100 meters. They possess chlorophyll A, C, carotenoids and xanthophylls. In the case of chlorophyceae, we have told about the major pigments present, which are chlorophyll A and B. And here the pigment which are present in Phaeophyceae are chlorophyll A, C, carotenoids and xanthophylls. They vary in color from olive green to various shades of brown depending upon the amount of the xanthophyll pigment, that is fucoxanthin, present in them. Underline the point. They possess chlorophyll A, C, carotenoids and xanthophylls. And these Phaeophyceae, they vary in color. From which color to which color? Yeah, olive green to various shades of brown, and that is why depending upon what the amount of the xanthophyll pigment, that pigment's name is fucoxanthin, present in them. And the next point, that is food, how it is stored, in which form it is stored. Food is stored as complex carbohydrates, which may be in the form of laminarin or mannitol. In the case of chlorophyceae, we told that they are also having stored food in the form of starch. And where they were stored? In pyrenoids, the storage bodies, pyrenoids present in the chloroplast. In the case of Phaeophyceae, there is also food storage is there, and they store as complex carbohydrates, and which may be in the form of what? This you have to remember, laminarin or mannitol. The vegetative cells have a cellulosic wall usually covered on the outside by a gelatinous coating of algin. Do you have any idea regarding algin? Yeah, in the first lecture we discussed about that. When we were telling about the uses of algae, that time this point has come. What's the importance of algin? Yeah, yes. What is that? Water holding capacity is there. And this, what we are saying the point here, once again see that the vegetative cells have a cellulosic wall usually covered on the outside by a gelatinous coating of algin. The protoplast contains, in addition to plastids, a centrally located vacuole and nucleus. So the protoplast contains what? In addition to plastids, that means plastids are present. In addition to that, what is also present? Centrally located vacuole and nucleus. The plant body is usually attached to the substratum by a hold fast and has a stalk. that is the stipe, and the leaf-like photosynthetic organ that is known as the frond. So, as we discussed in the case of algae, the plant body is simple and thalloid. That time we explained what was explained there regarding thallus. That means undifferentiated plant body. They lack true root, stem and leaf. So here we can see, as in the case of Phaeophyceae, the root is not there, but to attach the plant body to substratum, there is a structure known as holdfast. And a stem-like structure we can call it as stipe, and the leaf-like photosynthetic organ present, that is known as frond. Vegetative reproduction takes place by fragmentation. In the case of algae, when we were telling that the reproduction, all the three types are there: vegetative, asexual and sexual. And here the vegetative reproduction mainly by which process? Fragmentation. Asexual reproduction in most brown algae is by biflagellate zoospores that are pear-shaped and have two unequal laterally attached flagella. So here the point you have to understand, asexual reproduction is by spores, and the main spores, that is zoospores, and they are having two flagella. So we are saying that biflagellated and having a shape of pear. And these flagella are unequal and laterally attached, sidewise attached flagella is there. So in this paragraph, many points we discussed regarding Phaeophyceae. First of all, the habitat, marine is there mainly, and the size varies, form varies. Example, ectocarpus, they range simply branched filamentous type is there. But in the case of massive form kelp, it is profusely branched and reaching a height of 100 meters. Then regarding the pigment, the very important point, that is what are the pigments present in them? Chlorophyll A, C, carotenoids and xanthophyll. And even we told that they vary in color from olive green to various shades of brown because of the amount of the pigment present in, that is fucoxanthin, otherwise xanthophyll pigment, fucoxanthin present in them. And food storage. Food is stored as complex carbohydrates and which may be in the form of laminarin or mannitol. And vegetative cells have a cellulosic wall usually covered on the outside by what? A gelatinous coating of algin. And the protoplast contains, in addition to plastids, what? A centrally located vacuole and nucleus. And how the plant body, how we can discuss or describe that? Yes, the plant body is usually attached to the substratum by a holdfast, and it has a stalk called stipe and the leaf-like photosynthetic organ, the frond. Regarding reproduction, vegetative reproduction is mainly by fragmentation. Asexual reproduction in most brown algae is by biflagellate zoospores that are pear-shaped and have two unequal laterally attached flagella. Now coming to the reproduction, that is sexual. Sexual reproduction may be isogamous, anisogamous or oogamous. Now you have to remember, every time this terminology solely we will repeat that: isogamous, anisogamous, oogamous. What do you mean by isogamous? Yes, two similar size of gametes are coming for fusing. In anisogamy, one means they are having dissimilar size of gametes. And in oogamous, female gamete is big, stationary, and the male gamete is small and moving type. So all these types of reproduction you have to understand, you have to remember that point. And in the case of Phaeophyceae, sexual reproduction may be isogamous, anisogamous or oogamous. Union of gametes may take place in water or within the oogonium in the case of oogamous species. And the gametes are pyriform, that we already told that pear-shaped and bear two laterally attached flagella. The common forms are ectocarpus, dictyota, laminaria, sargassum and fucus. Figure is given. In the last page you can see brown algae. The figure given, first laminaria, then fucus and dictyota. The structure you can see here, holdfast is there, stipe is there, frond is there. In the case of second figure, that is fucus, there again you can see holdfast, midrib, front, air bladder. And in the case of Dictyota, you can see stipe front, all these types of structures. Okay dear students, now we can see the points regarding Phaeophyceae from the material. Please take out page number 60. Phaeophyceae, brown algae, also known as seaweeds. So some extra points are given in the material, which one is useful for you to attend the NEET exam. So please note down the points. Whatever extra points we are discussing, you have to understand that. Underline the important points. Phaeophyceae, commonly known as brown algae or seaweeds. Weeds, you know that unwanted plants present in the field, but here they are seaweeds. Brown algae or seaweeds. We are not saying that they are unwanted, but the name is given seaweeds. Habitat. Brown algae are found in marine water. In the textbook also we explain the same point. Primarily they are found in marine habitat. So brown algae are found in marine water. Their structure. Brown algae are multicellular filamentous. Brown algae are the largest in size, up to 100 meter in length. Can you tell me which one is that? Yeah, massive form of which one? Kelps. They reach up to a height of 100 meters. Very good. Largest brown algae is Macrocystis. Which is the largest brown algae? In the exam it can be asked, so you have to remember. The largest brown algae. What's the name? Macrocystis. Once again, Macrocystis. Yes. The plant body is usually attached to the substratum by a holdfast and has a stalk, that is known as stipe, and a leaf-like photosynthetic part, front, or we can call it as lamina. So brown algae known as leafy algae is very, very important. Example, laminaria. If you remember, we have told the name sargassum, laminaria and all. So here they are known as laminaria. Why? Because the leaf-like photosynthetic part, front or lamina is present. So brown algae are known as what? Leafy algae. Example, laminaria. Now, the vegetative cells have a cellulosic wall usually covered on the outside by a gelatinous coating of algae. This point we discussed already, right? And in brown algae, protoplast contain plastid, centrally located vacuole and nucleus. What the point is telling here? The vegetative cells have a cellulosic wall usually covered on the outside by a gelatinous coating of algae. In brown algae, protoplast contain plastid, centrally located vacuole and nucleus. You can see the structure of these plant bodies. Holdfast is there, stipe is there, front there, and here also you can see all the part there and including midrib also there. Now gelatinous coating, phycocolloids, hydrocolloids. As we discussed the point, they are having a covering on the outside, that is gelatinous coating, and the name we discussed, that was what? Algae. So gelatinous coating made up of algae has very high water holding capacity. So gelatinous coating present in Phaeophyceae, that is known as algae. It's also known as phycocolloids or hydrocolloids. Phycocolloids algae protects brown algae against desiccation and shocks, against getting damaged and shocks. Phycocolloids are used in ice cream as thickening agent. Algae used for dentary measurement. Once again see, phycocolloids algae protects brown algae against desiccation, against decay and shocks. Phycocolloids are used in ice cream as thickening agent. Algae used for dentary measurement. Algae used in the manufacturing of soap, ice cream, polish, cream and plastic. So here you have to understand regarding algae. Next one special point is given. Life cycle of ectocarpus and kelps are diplohaplodic. Life cycle of fucus is diplodic. This topic regarding this diplodic, haplodiplodic, in this chapter the last topic is the same. Alternation of generation in plant. So in that we will learn the topic in detail, but here you have to understand life cycle of ectocarpus and kelps are diplohaplodic, means haplodiplodic, we can call it as again intermediate type. Life cycle of fucus is diplodic. Zoospores and gametes are pear-shaped and have two unequal laterally attached flagella. Sexual reproduction in brown algae may be isogamous, anisogamous or oogamous. Oogamous spelling you have to correct. It's given oogamous, M-O-U-S, it will be there. Please correct that. And the pigments present in Phaeophysae that we discussed, which one? Chlorophyll A and C. Chlorophyll A, chlorophyll C. Then carotene, in that only beta carotene is present. Xanthophyll pigment, from that mainly fucoxanthin is present. And a note is given, the amount of fucoxanthin is more in brown algae, due to which these algae are brown in color. And in the textbook we discussed the point that they differ from color, that means from olive green to brown depending upon the amount of the xanthophyll pigment, that is fucoxanthin. So the amount of fucoxanthin is more in which one? Brown algae. Why? Because due to which the algae are brown in color. Xanthophylls are mostly yellow, but fucoxanthin is brown. See that? Xanthophylls are mostly yellow, but fucoxanthin is brown. Now, stored food. Laminarin and mannitol. Both are derivatives of carbohydrates. We already told that from the textbook the point was discussed. Food is stored as complex carbohydrates which may be in the form of laminarin or mannitol. Now, sargassum. It is known as gulf weed. Why? Because sargassum is a free floating alga. Underline that. It's very important. The question can be asked, which is a free floating alga, otherwise which is known as gulf weed. For both the question the same answer, that is sargassum. So sargassum is known as gulf weed because sargassum is a free floating alga. It grows rapidly due to vegetative reproduction by fragmentation, because each fragment germinates as a new thallus. So that's why it grows rapidly, very speedily, very quickly in North Atlantic Ocean and covers thousands of hectares of area. Therefore, this region is called as Sargasso Sea, because sargassum, it is a free floating alga. It grows rapidly because of the vegetative reproduction and mainly by fragmentation. And because of that, the North Atlantic Ocean and covers thousands of hectares of area by this sargassum, and therefore this region is called as Sargasso Sea. What is it known as? Sargasso Sea, because mainly sargassum algae, the free floating algae is present and it covers thousands of hectares of area because of the vegetative reproduction by fragmentation in this sargassum, also known as gulf weed. Next is laminaria or kelps. We discussed regarding kelps. You know that? Yeah, it reaches up to a height of 100 meters. Laminaria kelps. It is called as devil's apron. What is it known as? It is known as devil's apron. Iodine and bromine obtained from laminaria. What are obtained from laminaria? iodine and bromine. Okay. So now from the textual and even from the material we have learnt about which point, which class? Phaeophyceae of algae. Now the last class of algae, that is Rhodophyceae. Let's complete the topic from textbook first. Please take out the textbook. Rhodophyceae. I think Chlorophyceae and Phaeophyceae, the topics are clear for you. Now the last one is Rhodophyceae. The members of Rhodophyceae are commonly called red algae because of the predominance of the red pigment R-phycoerythrin in their body. So now three classes we discussed, that is Chlorophyceae, Phaeophyceae, Rhodophyceae. Chlorophyceae, commonly known as green algae, the pigments present because that is A and B chlorophyll. Because of that they are seen as green in color. In the case of Phaeophyceae, we told regarding the pigments present, that is chlorophyll A, chlorophyll C, carotenoids and xanthophylls, and mainly because of the amount of fucoxanthin they found in the various shades of brown color. And now here we are telling that red algae or Rhodophyceae. The members of Rhodophyceae are commonly called red algae. Why? Because of the predominance of the red pigment, which one? R-phycoerythrin in their body. From the erythrin word itself you can understand that. Have you heard about erythro word? Yes, definitely. Erythrocytes, that means red blood cells, RBCs. So R-phycoerythrin, phyco. What does it mean? Yes, definitely. What is that? Algae. So, phyco word connected to algae. Erythrin means red in color. So, the pigment which is present in red algae, the predominance of the red pigment, that is R-phycoerythrin. Majority of the red algae are marine with greater concentrations found in the warmer areas. So, where they are found mainly? They are found in the warmer areas. They occur in both well-lighted regions close to the surface of water and also at great depths in oceans where relatively little light penetrates. So, you can see that they occur where on the surface we can say they occur in both well-lighted regions close to the surface of water and also at great depths in oceans where relatively little light penetrates. That means the deep sea. So, towards inside the light does not go and it is not possible to move inside only. In that areas also what are found? Rhodophyceae are found. So, both the conditions they are found. Near to surface also where the light is penetrating and where the light cannot penetrate like that, the depth areas also what is found? Rhodophyceae are present. Now, the red thalli, here you have to understand thalli is the plural of thallus. As in the case of nucleus, plural nuclei. So, the red thalli, the red thalluses of most of the red algae are multicellular. Some of them have complex body organization. Their body organization is not as like that we have discussed in the case of algae, it's simple there. But in the case of Rhodophyceae, complex body organization is there. And the food is stored as Floridian starch, which is very similar to amylopectin and glycogen in structure. Once again, see what's the point we are saying. So, we have to understand when we are doing the classification of algae into mainly three classes, that is Chlorophyceae, Phaeophyceae and Rhodophyceae, mainly three criteria were considered. One, the main pigment what is present. Another one, how the food is stored, which form it is stored. Based on that, and then regarding which one? What's the next one? Major pigment. So, which major pigment is present? Which stored food is present there? And how the habitat is there? And the common name of them. All these points you have to remember. So, here again we can come back to the point what we are saying. Food is stored as Floridian starch, which is very similar to amylopectin and glycogen in structure. So, now what is this amylopectin? before coming to that topic, regarding the stored food of all the three we can discuss. In case of Chlorophyceae, the stored food which was that? Yes, starch. In the case of Phaeophyceae, good, mannitol and laminarin. And in the case of Rhodophyceae, the stored food is Floridian starch, and which is very similar to amylopectin and glycogen in structure. So what do you mean by amylopectin? Please note down. Amylopectin is a water-soluble polysaccharide. Once again, amylopectin is a water-soluble polysaccharide and highly branched polymer of alpha glucose units found in plants. May I repeat the sentence? Amylopectin is a water-soluble polysaccharide and highly branched polymer of alpha glucose units found in plants. Full stop. It is one of the two components of starch. It is one of the two components of starch, the other being amylose. Clear for you? Got it? Okay. Now we are going to discuss regarding reproduction in Rhodophyceae. Rest of the points we have discussed now. What they are commonly known as, which are the main pigment present, and where they are found mainly. And then after we have discussed about their what structure. As we told, the red thalli of most of the red algae are multicellular. Most of them have complex body organization, and the stored food as in the form of Floridian starch, which is very similar to what amylopectin and glycogen in structure. Now coming to the topic, that is regarding the reproduction in the case of Rhodophyceae. The red algae usually reproduce vegetatively by fragmentation. So as in the case of Phaeophyceae also we saw that in the case of Sargassum we discussed it. That's why the seed itself is known as Sargasso seed. Because of fragmentation, rapidly they were increasing in the hectares of area. So here the red algae usually reproduce vegetatively by fragmentation. They reproduce asexually by non-motile spores and sexually by non-motile gametes. Once again, in the case of Rhodophyceae, they asexually reproduce by non-motile spores and sexually they reproduce by non-motile gametes. Sexual reproduction is oogamous and accompanied by complex post-fertilization developments. You can see that when we are coming to the topic of algae itself, when coming from one class to another class, the evolutionary change you can see. Here, root-like, leaf-like structure we discussed, and even regarding the reproduction also, that evolution you can see that post-fertilization development is present. And the sexual reproduction is oogamous, means you have to understand the female gamete is big and stationary and the male gamete is small and motile. So it's coming towards that. So sexual reproduction is oogamous and accompanied by complex post-fertilization developments. Post-fertilization developments means what you have to understand, what you are knowing regarding that. Post means after. Means after fertilization whatever development is happening, that is known as post-fertilization development. The common members are Polysiphonia, Porphyra, Gracilaria and Gelaria. Once again, which are the common members? Polysiphonia, Porphyra, Gracilaria and Gelaria. In the figure you can see that red algae, two figures are given, Porphyra and Polysiphonia. So now regarding Rhodophyceae, whatever the points we discussed from the textbook, Apart from that, what else is given in the material that we have to understand. Let's see now. Rhodophyceae. Rhodophyceae, commonly known as red algae, and red algae are ancient algae. So, if the question asks which algae are known as ancient algae, so you have to remember actually they are red algae. Red algae are ancient algae. Example, Polysiphonia. There is no motile stage found in life cycle of red algae and blue-green algae. That is, cilia and flagella are absent. In the case of Rhodophyceae, when we are discussing regarding the motility or movement, so there is no motile stage found in the life cycle of red algae and blue-green algae. Why? Because they are not at all having cilia and flagella. Now, red algae mainly found in marine water with a greater concentration found in the warmer areas, but exceptionally they are found in fresh water, that is in river. So, they are known as Batrachosperma. What is it known as? Batrachosperma. What are Batrachosperma? They are the red algae found in fresh water or river. But in concentration, with the greater concentration where they are found in water, marine water with the greater concentration found in the warmer areas. But exceptionally, in fresh water or river also they are found, and it is known as Batrachosperma. Batrachosperma. Now, regarding the structure of red algae are multicellular, but exceptionally Porphyridium is unicellular. See that? Red algae are multicellular, but exceptionally Porphyridium is unicellular. So, you have to remember that point. Please note down. Red algae are multicellular, but exceptionally which one? Porphyridium is unicellular. Cell wall of red algae is complex. Why? Because they are made up of cellulose and pectin with polysulfate esters. See the point? Cell wall of red algae is complex because they are made up of cellulose and pectin with polysulfate esters. Some red algae may secrete and deposit calcium carbonate and appear like corals. Some red algae may secrete and deposit what? Calcium carbonate, and they appear like what? Corals. So, algae are also appearing like corals because what? Because some of the red algae secrete and deposit what? Calcium carbonate. Now, the pigments present in the case of Rhodophyceae. In case of Chlorophyceae, which one? Yes, chlorophyll A and B. And in the case of Phaeophyceae, chlorophyll A, C, carotenoids, and which one? Chlorophyll A, C, carotenoids and fucoxanthin. And here, chlorophyll found, which one? Chlorophyll A and chlorophyll D. Carotenes, beta carotene. Phycobilins, R-phycoerythrin, red color, and R-phycocyanin, blue color. Cyano, blue vitol. So, here phycocyanin, blue color. On the basis of pigments, red algae are similar to what? Blue-green algae. Color of red algae changes according to the depth in sea. This is called as what? Gaudikov's effect. Very important point is there. Color of red algae changes according to depth in sea. That is known as what? Gaudikov's effect. Very important point. Please note down that. What do you mean by Gaudikov's effect? Usually, what is that? color of red algae changes according to depth in the sea, it is known as Gaudikov's effect. When red algae are present on the surface of the sea, then their color is blue. When they are at the bottom, their color is red. At the surface of sea, the amount of R-phycocyanin is more. See here the point. When red algae are present on the surface of the sea, then their color is blue because R-phycocyanin is more where at the surface. And while in depth, the amount of R-phycoerythrin is more. So obviously erythrin means you have to understand the color will be red. When going to the depth, the color changes from blue to red because of R-phycocyanin and R-phycoerythrin. Penetration power is maximum of violet light. R-phycoerythrin is only pigment to absorb violet light. Due to phycoerythrin, red algae are deepest algae. So due to phycoerythrin, red algae are deepest algae. Gaudikov's effect is also found in blue-green algae. So here we are discussing regarding algae. So in that one effect we are telling Gaudikov's effect, and that is found in which algae also? Blue-green algae also. Red algae not always red, it may be blue colored also. So you have to understand, don't we get confused. Red algae are not always red, it may be blue colored also. Now, Batrachospermum. Batrachospermum we discussed. What were they? Yes, exceptionally they are found in the fresh water. So then the example's name we told Batrachospermum. Batrachospermum, this is a blue colored algae. So they are known as blue colored algae. And what's its name? Batrachospermum. And stored food. Floridian starch. Floridian starch is structurally similar to glycogen and amylopectin. Floridian starch is structurally similar to what? Yes, glycogen and amylopectin. Now coming to the topic of reproduction in the case of Rhodophysae, that is red algae, also known as what? Commonly what they are known as? Red algae. And what's the importance of that? They are the ancient algae. Rhodophysae, red algae are the ancient algae. Reproduction. Vegetative reproduction is by fragmentation. Asexual, non-motile spores by monospore, carpospores and tetraspores. Sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction is oogamous and accompanied by complex post-fertilization developments. The female sex organs are called carpogonia. Earlier we discussed that. Antheridium and archegonium. Here the words coming. What's that terminologies? The female sex organs are called carpogonia. The male sex organs of red algae. The male sex organs of red algae are known as spermatangia. What they are known as? Spermatangia. So the female sex organs are called carpogonia, singular carpogonium. The male sex organs of red algae are known as spermatangia, spermatangium singular. Non-motile spores like gametes are found in spermatangia, which are known as spermatia. Once again see the point. The male sex organs of red algae are known as spermatangia. Non-motile spores like gametes are formed in spermatangia, which are known as what? Spermatia. So what are spermatia? What is known as spermatia? Non-motile spores like gametes, if they are found in spermatangia, which are known as what? Spermatia. Life cycle of Polysiphonia is diplobiontic, and Batrachospermum it is haplobiontic. So what we are seeing? Life cycle of Polysiphonia is diplobiontic and Batrachospermum is haplobiontic. Means diplontic, haplontic. Economic importance. Harveyella, it is a colorless parasitic alga it remains as parasite on other algae. So regarding economic importance, first one, Harvella, it is a colorless parasitic alga and it remains as parasite on other alga. Porphyra, it is an edible alga. What's that? Porphyra is an edible alga. Gelidium and Gracilaria, or commonly agar-agar. Gelidium and Gracilaria, agar-agar, is a hydrocolloid or phycocolloid is obtained from these red algae. It is used to prepare culture medium to grow microbes and in preparation of ice creams and jellies. Once again, Gelidium and Gracilaria or agar. Agar is a hydrocolloid or phycocolloid which is obtained from these red algae. It is used to prepare culture medium to grow microbes and in preparation of ice creams and jellies. Next, Chondrus crispus. What's the name? Chondrus crispus. It is also called Irish moss. See the point? Chondrus crispus. It is also called Irish moss. Carrageenan colloid is obtained from this algae. It is used as gelatin agent in food industries, that is to make the food item viscous. Carrageen or carrageenan colloid is obtained from this algae. Which alga? Yes, Rhodophyceae. It is used as gelatin agent in food industries, that is to make the food item viscous. Capsule of medicines is also prepared from carrageenan. Very important point. Capsule of medicines is also prepared from carrageenan. Classes of algae and their main characteristics. So till now we have discussed regarding all the three types or three classes of algae. First, Chlorophyceae, second, Phaeophyceae, and the third and the last, that is Rhodophyceae. So now one tabular form is given that we have to understand in short classes of algae and their main characteristics. Classes: Chlorophyceae, Phaeophyceae and Rhodophyceae. Common name: green algae of Chlorophyceae, Phaeophyceae brown algae, Rhodophyceae red algae. Major pigments present in them: in Chlorophyceae, chlorophyll AB, Phaeophyceae, chlorophyll AZ and fucoxanthin, Rhodophyceae, chlorophyll AD and phycoerythrin. Now the stored food in the form of what? In Chlorophyceae, stored food is known as starch, and in Phaeophyceae, mannitol and laminarin, and in Rhodophyceae, it's Floridian starch. And the cell wall with what it is made up of. Chlorophyceae, in that the cell wall is made up of cellulose and pectose. Phaeophyceae, it's made up of cellulose and algin. Rhodophyceae, cellulose and pectin with polysulfate ester. Once again, cellulose and pectin with polysulfate ester. Flagella number and position of insertions. In the case of Chlorophyceae, 2 to 8 equal apical, what is present? Flagella. How many? 2 to 8 are found. Where? Apical. How they are? Equal. So 2 to 8 equal apical flagella are present. 2 unequal lateral in the case of Phaeophyceae, and in Rhodophyceae, these flagella are absent. Now regarding habitat. Chlorophyceae, freshwater, brackish water, salt water. What is this brackish water? It's a mixing of sea water and river water. It's a mixing of what? Sea water and river water. Or we can call it as more saline water. So fresh water, brackish water, salt water. Rhodophysae, fresh water, some brackish and salt water, most of them are there. So now name of algal cell and shape of chloroplast is mentioned here. Name of algal cell, Cara. The shape of chloroplast, discoid. Fritiella, plate-like. Chlamydomonas, cup-shaped. Eulothrix, girdle-shaped. Spirogyra, ribbon-shaped or spiral-shaped. Zygnema, stellate or star-shaped. Edagonium, reticulate. So this you have to remember. Now coming to a point, a topic we can call it as THALLOPHYTA. The term THALLOPHYTA was given by Endlicher. What scientist's name? Endlicher. According to two kingdom classification, all the algae, fungi and prokaryotes were placed in THALLOPHYTA because their plant body is thallus. So see here, the term THALLOPHYTA was given by Endlicher. According to two kingdom classification, all the algae, fungi and prokaryotes were placed in THALLOPHYTA because their plant body is thallus. In THALLOPHYTA, the male sex organs are called as antheridia and the female sex organs are called as oogonia. Sex organs are unicellular and jacket-less, jacket layer of sterile cells. The sexual reproduction in THALLOPHYTA is isogamous, anisogamous and oogamous. In THALLOPHYTA, sexual reproduction takes place through zygotic meiosis. Therefore, embryo is not formed. Once again, in THALLOPHYTA, sexual reproduction takes place through zygotic meiosis. Therefore, embryo is not formed. Now, demerits of two kingdom classification. In two kingdom classification, prokaryotes and eukaryotes placed in the same group. In this system, photosynthetic green algae and non-photosynthetic fungi are placed in same group, that is plantae. In two kingdom system, unicellular and multicellular organisms are placed together. On the basis of cell wall, bacteria were considered as plant and put it in plantae. Position of euglena is not fixed. So all these demerits of two kingdom classification is there. Still, we have to understand what are the points we discussed regarding all the three classes of algae: Chlorophysae, Phaeophysae, Rhodophysae. Chlorophysae commonly known as green algae, Phaeophysae commonly known as brown algae, and it's also known as seaweeds. And even Rhodophysae commonly known as what? Rhodophysae, they are the red algae or ancient algae. So, today in this session, we have learnt about many topics, that is algae, its main three classes. Algae are divided into three main classes: Chlorophysae, then Phaeophysae and Rhodophysae. Now, one point you have to note down, please. Note down. In Rhodophysae, both male and female gametes are non-motile. Once again, in Rhodophysae, both male and female gametes are non-motile. Male and female reproductive bodies are called spermatogonium and carpogonium respectively. Spermatogonium and carpogonium respectively. In red algae, and several species of green algae. In red algae and several species of green algae, the oogonium bears a protuberance or trichogyne, which is the receptive site for male gamete. Once again, see what is the point. In red algae and several species of green algae, the oogonium bears a protuberance or trichogyne, which is the receptive site for male gamete. Once again, see the point from the beginning. In Rhodophysae, both male and female gametes are non-motile. Male and female reproductive bodies are called spermatogonium and carpogonium respectively. Spermatogonium and carpogonium respectively. In red algae and several species of green algae, the oogonium bears a protuberance or trichogyne, which is the receptive site for male gametes. Protuberance. What does it mean? What is the meaning of the word protuberance? Yes, note down. Outgrowth. What is it known as? Outgrowth. Trichogyne. Trichogyne, a slender terminal prolongation. So what is trichogyne? A slender terminal prolongation, or we can call it as a fertilization tube. Once again, trichogyne, a slender terminal prolongation, or we can call it as a fertilization tube. So in this session, whatever topics we discussed, we have explained here, that you have to understand, you have to read the textbook thoroughly, and whatever extra points given in the material, that also you have to note down. It's very important topic we are covering here. Please note down the points. Whatever important points there, you have to note down the same. Okay, I think you have got the topic clear. Thank you so much for the session. Thank you.